This is Ubiquiti's UNAS Pro, and if you're a creator looking for fast, reliable storage that doesn't break the bank, well, this might just be the NAS you've been waiting for. It's priced well below the competition, but the real question is, does it deliver the performance we need as video creators? And so that's what I'm going to answer in this video. I'll break down where the UNAS Pro really shines and where it might not be the best fit, and answer the question I know you're asking right now. Is it really fast enough to edit video directly off of this thing? The results shocked even me. Let's dive straight in. So what exactly is the UNAS Pro? It's Ubiquiti's entry into the network-attached storage market, a 2U rack-mountable unit designed to work standalone or integrate seamlessly into UniFi's ecosystem. It's priced at $499 or £395 in the UK and offers a blend of performance and simplicity for content creators and small teams. And if we get techie for a second, the UNAS Pro features 7 drive bays, accommodating both mechanical hard drives and SSDs, providing flexibility for various storage needs. For connectivity, there's a 1 gigabit Ethernet port for standard networking, but importantly a 10 gigabit SFP Plus port for high-speed data transfers. And that 10 gigabit connection really is essential for handling the large video files and camera footage that's common in video editing and content creation. And just to finish up on this section, one of the standout features is actually its user-friendly interface. This is hands down the most simplest and easiest NAS I've ever used to set up and manage on a day-to-day basis. You don't have to be an IT technician to get it going, and I think that's what makes it such a good choice and really appealing for those that have never used a network-attached storage system before. Plus, it supports RAID configurations, so RAID 5, RAID 10, and most recently RAID 6 for data redundancy, and has features like snapshotting for version control, but more on that later. So this video is all about delving into how the UNAS Pro performs in real-world scenarios, especially when it comes to video editing workflows. But I do just want to give a quick mention. I've got another video coming out on the channel soon, which shows how the NAS integrates into my wider, complete home network, because I've just moved into a new property and I have gone all in on Ubiquiti and UniFi. So I've got a complete UniFi setup, and I'm going to give a full overview of all of that in another video on the channel. So if you haven't already, please do consider hitting the subscribe button so you don't miss out on that. So let's talk about how I set up my UNAS Pro. Now, I'm currently in a temporary office while I build my new one. So I wanted the UNAS under my desk. For that, I installed it into Ubiquiti's 6U toolless mini rack, which, by the way, is beautifully designed and incredibly simple to install. I totally fell in love with this thing, considering it's just a rack. It's kind of like if Apple ever decides to make a rack unit, this is what they would come out with. In the UNAS Pro itself, I've installed 3 16 terabyte drives and configured them as a RAID 5 configuration. The UNAS is then connected via a 10 gigabit direct attached cable to my 10 gigabit switch, which, by the way, currently is my old QNAP switch you saw from previous videos. But Ubiquiti has just announced a new line of 10 gigabit switches, so I'm probably going to change that to one from their new XG range soon. Then connected to the switch is my Mac Studio via 10 gigabit Ethernet, and then a few other 10 gigabit devices like my Blackmagic Cloud Store and my MacBook Pro. Now, when it comes to setting up the UNAS Pro, I found this incredibly easy. It genuinely only took a few minutes. When you access the UNAS Pro's IP for the first time, there's a whole wizard that walks you through everything you need. You can choose to set it up locally, or I would actually advise creating a Ubiquiti account, because then that gives you the ability to access and manage the device from anywhere in the world. Then you basically give your device a name, choose what RAID configuration you want, and it's ready to go. Now, one thing to note here is that although you can use your UNAS right away, the device does still need some time to actually initialize the drives and build out the RAID array, during which time you will most likely see reduced read and write speeds until that process has been completed. So don't go running disk speeds tests straight away and then being disappointed or panicking about the speeds that you see. Let's talk about some of the core features in the UNAS Pro, and I'll start with user creation. There's a dedicated user page where you can create new users and then assign what drives you want them to have access to. By default, they get their own personal drives created for them, and then you can grant access to any shared drives that you've created that they need to access as well. You can quickly set up SMB access for each user. It's as simple as setting a username and password here, and they then use those details to log in on either their Mac or PC. Ubiquiti have made this whole process of creating and managing users and the whole drive itself so easy, which is why I think it's a great product for the solo creator or small businesses. Now, the snapshots feature is a really interesting one. It allows you to create a point-in-time copy of your NAS's data, allowing you to then revert back to a previous state of a file or a folder if you need. So if you take daily snapshots, for example, of your NAS, then you can go back to a previous version of a file or folder from any given day. It's really great for things like file versioning or if you accidentally delete a file or folder. And the good thing is snapshots don't usually take up as much space as something like backups because they're only looking for the changes between each snapshot rather than trying to back up the device each time. Saying that though, there is a full backup feature built into the UNAS Pro. You can set your UNAS to back up specific files, folders, or the whole thing to another UNAS device, or another shared storage device, or even Google Drive. Now, just a note from anyone at Ubiquiti that might be watching, I'd quite like to see things like Dropbox or Backblaze added to that list as well. You have fine control over rules for the backup as well as when the backup occurs, and you can set up multiple backup tasks. So task 1 could be to back up an important folder every single day, but task 2 could actually just be to back up the whole NAS once a week or once a month. One final feature I want to show is the shared links feature, because this is incredibly useful, especially for us creators. Now, we've all been in the scenario where we need to share a file with someone, whether it be a client, a colleague, or a friend. And we usually all do the same thing of uploading it to somewhere like Dropbox or WeTransfer and then sending them the link. Well, now you can generate an access link to any file or folder on your UNAS to give someone instant access to it from anywhere in the world. No more waiting for your file to upload to third-party services. And importantly as well, you have full control of the access link. So you can revoke it at any time, but you can also set things like expiration dates for the link. You can limit the number of times the link can be accessed, and you can even password protect it. I really believe this is a feature of the UNAS that video creators are going to use a lot, especially in those times where you need to share a file with a client or an editor quickly. Right then, now you know what it can do and how it works. Let's put it to the test with some real-world performance. First up, let's do some Blackmagic disk speed tests and see what read and write speeds we get over my 10 gigabit connection. So I'm using the largest file size I can of 5 gigabytes, and just to show you where it's all being saved, I've got my UNAS here, and I'm in the personal drive and putting it just in a test folder here. So if we get this underway then, we can already see some pretty healthy write speeds into the high 400s. Now, with my 3-disk configuration in RAID 5, I would expect to see write speeds of around about 400 megabytes per second. I've already seen we're slightly over that at 430. What about for the read? I would expect again around the 700 mark for that, and that is certainly what's being reflected in there, and we've actually just pushed up a bit higher at 730. I'll let it go a second time just so you can see that they're pretty consistent, but yeah, around the 400 mark for write and around the 700, maybe creeping up into the 750s is what I would expect to see. For the read, look at that, almost touching 800 there, but that's perfect. That is going to be certainly enough for us to experiment for some editing next, and that is what I want to do. So I'm going to do a multicam clip first. So I'm going to take an ATEM ISO folder from a shoot with 6 cameras, and we're going to try our hand at doing a multicam edit off of the NAS. So I'm in DaVinci now, and I'm on my UNAS here. Go back into the Alex test folder, and it's this folder here that I want to work with. So this was a ISO folder from an ATEM. So this is a complete 1080p multicam shoot, but you can see what we've got here when I drag these in. We have 6 cameras that were all recording at the time of this shoot. And so I want to see if we can do a 6-cam multicam directly off of the UNAS. So what we'll do to start is we'll just go into the edit tab here, and I am just going to, because they were all shot on an ATEM and timecode synced, I'm just going to very quickly create a multicam clip here. So we'll call it multicam. We can leave the frame rate and the timecode. The only thing I'm going to change here is the camera name for the metadata, and the rest is all good. So now we can drag that multicam clip into DaVinci Resolve. And if I change this viewer to multicam, we can now see, and by the way, just a reminder, we're doing everything off of the UNAS. None of the media is on my computer. It's all editing directly off the UNAS. Now we've got our multicam viewer here. So this is going to be all playing in real time, and we've got our main output viewer here. So let's just first of all try navigating through the timeline. Now, one thing I've done is I've actually placed a camera behind me. And the reason I've done that is pointing at the UNAS screen so that we can see the throughput as we're doing this. So I'll place that on screen so you can see how much data is being pulled off the NAS as we're doing different things. The first thing I'm going to do is just hit spacebar and hit play. And you can see there was no delay whatsoever in starting that playback. We've got perfect playback of all 6 cameras here, no issues whatsoever. Let me just try doing that at different points in the timeline. So if I navigate to this point, we can see here as well, I've just navigated to it, I haven't hit play yet. No delay whatsoever. I can literally jump through the timeline and it is as buttery smooth as if I was editing off of my actual Mac with the footage on my Mac. So let's again I'm going to do that, but hit play. Playback straight away. From here, playback straight away, no delay. I'm just going to skip through to different points on the timeline. It is super smooth, feels exactly the same. So let's just go back to a random point here. We'll hit play. I'm just going to pause for a second so let it play out so you can see roughly using that camera, you can see how much data we're pulling off of the UNAS. Next test, I'm going to actually try fast forwarding. So there's one fast forward, and we should be pulling more, basically double the amount of data off of the UNAS now. But again, you can see we're not dropping any frames on any of the viewers. It's still buttery smooth. Let's go fast forward another. So now we're skipping through even faster. Again, no drop frames. One more time. No problem whatsoever. What about in reverse? So if we just go back one, no problem whatsoever. It feels, again, buttery smooth. Exactly the same. Let's just try and do some multicam editing because this is what it's all about. So we'll start on the wide here. If I just select video only, start on the wide. Let's go to Boovie, who's speaking. We'll go to the 3-shot here. Rory for a reaction. Back to Boovie. The reverse 3-shot. Adam looking at his phone. Back to Boovie. Back to the wide cam. Back to Rory. The point I'm trying to make here, it is super responsive. There's no delay whatsoever. And to be honest, there's absolutely I can't see any discernible difference of if all the media was stored on my SSD on my Mac versus what I'm doing right now, editing off of the UNAS Pro. It is buttery smooth, and that is with a 6-camera 1080p multicam project. No problems whatsoever. But what about if I wanted to do some 4K B-roll editing? How will the UNAS Pro stand up to that? Well, let's find out. So I'm back in DaVinci Resolve. I'm in my UNAS Pro personal drive. If I go into my Alex test folder again, these 4 files here are all Blackmagic RAW files. So you can see as I click on them, we've got Blackmagic RAW at full 4K, 50 frames per second as well. And they should all be the same. So we've got a few 4K Blackmagic RAW 50 frames per second files to work with. So if I just drag those all into the media part, section here, then we can go into the edit tab. And let's just drag one of these down onto the timeline quickly. We'll do as we did before. First of all, just try playing it. So if I jump to there, you can see it's super rapid jump into it. Hit play, and it is buttery smooth playing that full 4K file. Just turn the volume down a little bit. Let's try jumping through it. Again, navigating through the timeline. No delays whatsoever playing back this 4K file. It is buttery smooth. You can see there. Playing 50 frames per second perfectly fine. What about navigating through the file and fast forwarding or rewinding? Again, no problem whatsoever fast forwarding through this file. Can rewind as well. No drop frames, no buffering or anything like that. You can see it just works. And I will display it on the screen, the amount of data that we're pulling as we're doing this as well. So editing this, if I make some breaks here, drag that on top of there, it is just no problem whatsoever. I'm actually going to undo that because now I want to try and push it a little bit, see if we can get those data rates up. So this is just working with one 4K file on the timeline. What happens if we shrink this down. So let's shrink this down to here, put that up there, and we drag a second file onto the timeline. Do the same thing. Drag that over to here. I'm doing it pretty rough, I know. And I'm going to try and layer all 4 of these. Now, this isn't a very long one, but we've got something to work with here. Going to try and layer all 4 of these B-raw 50 frames per second files on top of each other so that we can see if the UNAS can keep up with playback of 4 simultaneous 4K B-raw files. Let's do this one around here. Cool. That will do. So you can see there, I'm able to drag and navigate through perfectly fine if we just hit play here. Again, no problem whatsoever with the playback of those. I'll put, again, the data rates on the screen so we can see how much data we're pulling off as we navigate through these. What about if I just go back to the beginning here, fast forwarding? That's double speed there. No problem. I think we may start to struggle if we go triple speed. No, it actually seems to be fine. What about jumping around? Loads up perfectly fine. Now, obviously, we've lost the third one there because it wasn't a long clip, but jumping around to here, play back, jump here, hit play. No problem whatsoever with all of these. So yeah, we can very comfortably, even with a 3-disc RAID 5 array, comfortably edit 4K footage, 4 cams worth of Blackmagic RAW, 50 frame per second, 4K footage without any bottlenecks whatsoever. What then is my verdict of Ubiquiti's UNAS Pro? Well, I'm going to start by saying who I think this is an ideal NAS for. I would say solo creators, editors, podcasters, even small production houses with teams of, let's say, 2 or 3 people. This is a fantastic NAS option for you, especially if this is the first time that you're looking at investing in a network attached storage, because as I've already shown in this video, it is incredibly easy to set up and use and manage on a day-to-day basis. Ubiquiti have just got that down to a T. But also, as I've already covered as well, it's got the performance you need. We've done the real life performance test. You've seen 6 streams of 1080p video working flawlessly in a multicam. We've even done some 4K video, and there were no issues whatsoever. So as I say, I think for the solo creator, this is a fantastic option, not just for archive storage, but also it's enough to really be able to edit off of that as well. And if you are working in small teams of, let's say, 2 or 3, I think it would be comfortable, multiple editors working off this simultaneously, maybe 1 or 2 editors simultaneously, certainly in 1080p, maybe up to 4K footage as well. So I think it's a great option there. Where might it not be the right fit? I would say in larger sort of production houses and companies where you need a large team of people all working consecutively and at the same time off of the NAS. I think once you start to push up to sort of 3+, maybe 4+ people needing to edit 4K files all at the same time of this thing, that's not really what it's designed to do. For that sort of workflow, you need a NAS that has more RAM, a higher CPU, SSD caching, and even maybe going into looking at actually populating the NAS with all SSD drives to get the most performance out of that. But that being said, whether you're in a large company or a small production house or a solo creator, if you're just looking for something for archive storage, i.e. you're not looking to edit directly off of the NAS, but you just want 144 terabytes worth of storage that once you've finished a project, you can put it on and you know your project is safe, this is a fantastic option and an incredibly affordable option. It's certainly one of the most affordable NASs out there to date. And it might not be, let's say, the most feature rich. There are NASs out there on the market that there are people that want to run Plex servers on them. There are people that want to have Docker containers so they can do all sorts of things with those. This doesn't do that, and it's not designed to do that. But what this does very, very well is storage. If you're just looking for storage, it is hard to beat the UNAS Pro. It really is. For bang for your buck and all the additional features it throws in, like snapshotting, backups, the link sharing that I showed in this video, the ease of use and the user management. It's hard to find anything that is as competitive, easy to use, and has the performance as the UNAS Pro. So that's a little roundup of where I think I feel it sits and some of the benefits that you get from it. If you found this video useful, please can I just ask you to do one thing, which is hit the thumbs up button. It's completely free for you to do, but makes a massive difference to me and the channel by helping to surface the videos so that more people can get help from them. Also, if you want to see more videos like this, including the home networking one that I've got coming on the channel soon, where I go into routers or routers if you're from the US, switches, wireless access points, CCTV, fiber networking, all of that stuff is in that video. If you want to see that and more like it, make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell. And of course, if you've got any questions about this video, if you've got questions about the UNAS Pro, the drives that I use, the setup that I had, get them down in the comments below. I read through all of them and will reply to as many of them as possible. And of course, if you need specific help with your setup, you can visit the link on screen below or down in the comments and book in a one-to-one consulting session. And then I can go through your setup in detail, get your questions answered, and make sure it is as optimized as possible and working smoothly. And once you've done all that, guys, I will see you on the next video.